In this section of the presentation, let's look at the participants in the audit process. On this slide, we have three key participants. One is client, then we have auditor, and then the auditee. The client is the one who requests the audit to be performed. Auditor is the one who actually does the audit, and auditee is the one on whom this audit is performed. So here we have definition of three key participants, which we talked on the previous slide. The first one is the client. The client is the organization or a person requesting an audit. Auditor is the person who actually conducts the audit, and auditee is the organization or individual being audited. We will look into the roles of these three in next few slides. So in the previous slide, we talked about the roles of client, auditor, and auditee. Let's look at the responsibility of client in a little bit more detail. So the client is the one who actually initiates the audit. So audit is initiated by the client, and the client determines the purpose and the scope. So what purpose this audit is going to serve, and what is the boundaries and limits of this audit is defined by the client. Then client provides resources. Client receives the audit report from the auditor, and then distribution of the report is determined by the client, and what actions need to be taken on that report is also the role of client. So after looking at the scope of client, let's look at the role of auditor. What role auditor plays in the audit? The first part of the auditor is to understand the purpose, scope, and the audit criteria. These are defined by the client, and auditor need to understand that, because based on these only the audit will be performed. Then the auditor plans for the audit. Then actual audit is performed. During the audit, evidences are collected by the auditor. These evidences are analyzed, and then a report is prepared by the auditor. Once the report is issued, follow-up action on audit finding is also the responsibility of the auditor. Many times this gets missed. Many times it is assumed that once the report is issued, the role of auditor is over, but this is the key element to make sure that all the audit findings are addressed and followed up. That's also the role of auditor. So now let's look at the role of auditee. Once auditee knows that an audit has been planned, auditee informs the staff about this audit so that everybody is ready, everyone is aware of the audit. Auditee provides all the resources, logistics, helps, interview room, communication needs, and any clerical support if it's required by the audit team are provided by the auditee. It's more important if the auditors are outsider, if they're coming from outside, but if it's an internal audit and the auditor is from within the organization, this might not be needed. Same thing with the escorts and guides. If the audit party is from outside, then the guides and escorts are provided by the auditee so that auditor and audit party knows where to go, how to find a way, and in case of emergency, where to go. So all those sort of things are taken care by escort or guide if the auditor is external auditor. Then during the audit, when auditor asks questions, auditor asks for objective evidences, providing that is the role of auditee. So auditee provides all the objective evidence needed for the audit, and auditee provides all the cooperation which is needed to successfully complete the audit, because ultimately it is in the benefit of auditee, because all the process improvements, the benefit of that will come to auditee. So auditee need to support the whole audit process. So after looking at the role of auditor, auditee, and client, let's look at three other participants in the audit process. The first one is technical expert or the subject matter experts who supports the auditor, and then there is observer. Observer are inactive participants of the audit, and then there are guides which are provided by auditee to support the audit team and to guide the audit team. So in the next slide, Let's look at the role of these three audit participants. So on this slide, we have three more audit participants, which we talked on the previous slide. The technical expert. Technical expert is the person who is providing specific knowledge or expertise to the audit team. And then we have observers. Observers are the person who accompany the audit team, but they do not audit. So they just observe the audit. And the next one is guide. Guides are the person appointed by auditee to assist the audit team.